And I think it's vitally important that we always recognize people want to be in a safe area. Builders want to build in those safe areas. And once those homes get there and the infrastructure gets there, then the businesses come.
Welcome to our commercial real estate series, Behind the Building, giving the audience a behind-the-scenes look at different aspects of commercial real estate, featuring industry professionals and leaders who we work with every day to make it happen. With me today is Sheriff Charles Blackwood, who has been in law enforcement for 45 years and is currently serving in his third term with the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Welcome, Sheriff Blackwood.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me today. I'm excited about being here and taking part in this conversation.
Yeah. So at first glance, you might not connect law enforcement with commercial real estate, but I think we can all understand the context when I ask you, Sheriff Blackwood, how do streetscapes, investment decisions, and development potential change when a community carries a perception of not being a safe place to live or work?
Right. So one of the questions that we frequently get here at the office is when somebody moves to the area, not for a business necessarily, but to look for a home or a neighborhood to live in, they're interested in schools, they're interested in daycare, they're interested in infrastructure, what's going on in that particular community. And the first question they ask is it safe? And I tell people, everyone, regardless of where they're moving to, that a community is driven by community confidence. And if you feel like your community is safe, chances are it will be. On the flip side of that, if you live in a neighborhood where you feel like things are not safe, it probably in reality is not safe. But in like so many other things, perception does become reality. I'm reminded of the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. And that is true with communities. And I think it's vitally important that we always recognize people want to be in a safe area. Builders want to build in those safe areas. And once those homes get there and the infrastructure gets there, then the businesses come. So if you go into a community where there's not a lot of that building and industry or whatever going on, you can pretty much assume that there's a reason for that. So the two are intimately connected.
That's right. That's right. So many developers and business owners only think to call the sheriff's office when something goes wrong, like 911, right? So what would you say to the commercial real estate community and the broader business community? How do we go from a more reactive 911 relationship to a proactive partnership with your office so that we can create more positive outcomes for our community?
You know, that's really an interesting question. And I've thought about that a lot in the last couple of days. It's been brought to light in my life, and I've seen examples of it in other folks' life. And also, I've got two real world examples of studies that have been done that prove this out. And I'll start by talking about the call. If you're going somewhere, if you're going back home, if you haven't been home for a while, or if you're going to a state that you go to frequently, there's probably somebody there that is your first call. You're going to make that call to say, hey, what's up? I'm on the way. I'm 20 minutes out or whatever. That person is the person you call to find out what the forecast is for where you're headed to. When you land there, that person's going to either have you somewhere to stay or something. It's just the call. So, you know, when you make that call, you want to call somebody you can trust. You want to call somebody that's you're going to have the answers that you're looking for, and somebody that's dependable. Recently, my mother-in-law, who has a home in Emerald Isle, fell and broke her hip. She is wheelchair bound. And to say she's a handful from time to time is an understatement. And so I was talking with my wife and her sister about the fact that we need to really come up with a good plan to know that she's taken care of. And who do I call? Sheriff Asa Buck in Carteret County. And I don't call him because he's necessarily the sheriff, but he's my friend. And I know he's intimately familiar with his community. And I call and say, I need somebody to come into the house 3 or 4 times a week, clean the bathrooms, clean the kitchen, and vacuum. That's all. No, we've got the other care taken care of. But to be able to call, to make the call and get an answer that you need is really important. And I like to tell folks that sheriffs are problem solvers. I think of myself as a problem solver, and I have a team of men and women who are dedicated to helping me solve people's problems. 90% of what we do is solving problems. It's not running around arresting folks. And I just think it's important to understand that a sheriff is intimately connected with their community, and they know the people to get a dead battery fixed, a tire changed, who's going to fix the broken window in my car, who's going to change my transmission. We know all these businesses here. I need a good attorney. I can tell you there's several you can call. I'm not going to recommend one, but I'm going to give you several, and call one of these and pick the one you're comfortable with. So when I think about calling the sheriff, we had this conversation with a UNC student yesterday, trying to kind of bring together town and gown of the students at UNC to understand that the sheriff is a resource. It's not a destination jail. It's a resource for help, a hub of information, if you will.
I appreciate that perspective of resource, and you're not to be feared, you're to be honored, and take advantage of all that your office can bring to the citizens. And on that vein of connectedness and kind of teamwork, it seems like you've put together a lot of partnerships in the community, key partnerships that help to serve the community better and make sure that all the citizens feel safe and supported wherever they may be in mental health issues or seniors or anything like that. So what are some of those key partnerships that you've put together in your last 3 terms?
Well, in working with mental health and mental illness right now, that is I don't know whether it's just because of the isolation that COVID brought on, or the aftermath. And I say that, and let me define what I mean by that. COVID brought on the separation and isolation. The aftermath was that it became comfortable. And so businesses allowed folks to stay home and work from home, and distance learning and distance work through remote processes and electronic media that we had available all along, and never really paid attention to how beneficial it could be. I will say that that's a double-edged sword, because while it's convenient, it's not personal. And I like to say that humans are like flowers, and they've got to have light and water. And when you take the light and water away, it diminishes our capacity to care. It diminishes our empathetic side. And I think it's critically important we have human interaction. And with that being taken away, we started to see the mental health clock climb, if you will. So when you talk about the mental health issues, we've got some of the best partners here at UNC Healthcare. We've got a number of mental health providers, whether it's the ones who work with our local providers or whoever, that are available to help us with those challenges. And the one individual that I've met that's really helped me a lot is Tom Edwards, who works with the Pavilion and RAI and Recovery Alliance Initiative. Tom Edwards lives in Chapel Hill. He moved here from Texas. He was a business owner there. His ability I pick up the phone again, the call, Tom, I've got a guy, or I've got a lady that's in a bind and they need help. Just give me their phone number and I'll take care of the rest. And Tom has helped me place people who were in some really challenging spots, and that we've had good outcomes. So I will say, Tom Edwards has been one of my saviors. Also, UNC Healthcare. We're sitting in a meeting with Race Cars, which is an acronym for a cardiac study, where we focus on bystander intervention to cardiac emergencies, and how critical it is to get help to people immediately. If they fall, you want to assume that they're having a heart attack. and have some type of a cardiac backup so that you could give them quality CPR to have good neurological outcomes. And in the race car meetings, we're going around the room with all the stakeholders and other law enforcement partners there and asking, how many AEDs or the automatic electronic defibrillators do you have? And I heard one agency said they had 3, one said they had 2, one of them said they had maybe 5. While we had 49, I had one in every car. And I said, this is a shame. And I just happened to be sitting beside someone from UNC Healthcare. And she said, well, why don't we get up some kind of a fundraiser? And because UNC hospitals and healthcare needs to be involved in this. Well, I reached out to a very good friend of mine, Chris McClure at the Chancellor's office in Chapel Hill at UNC, told him what we were thinking about. And he said, the Chancellor's all in. Let us know what you need. She went back, talked to her powers that be. They were all in. We were able to buy almost 100 AEDs, and I was able to get one in every patrol car in every jurisdiction in Orange County, and some to South Orange Rescue and some to our rescue here. And that has gone from Zoll Medical as our provider, and they have helped us not just with AEDs, but with a new mobilized first aid kit, which is really cool, electronic first aid kit that you open up. It's got a keypad like an iPad in it. And you just type in the type of emergency you have, and it tells you exactly what to do with the equipment that's in that box. And we've used it a number of times. And within 2 weeks of putting one in the field, one of my deputies actually helped a gentleman who had been shot 5 times at close range make it to the emergency room. Utilizing that kit, the doctor in the emergency room said any of those wounds could have been fatal had that not been treated quickly. So, again, the partnerships are important. I don't do this by myself. I couldn't do it by myself. But the key partners with our local providers, our hospitals, I call it low-hanging fruit because it's all right here in this county. So I'm very fortunate that we've got the robust help that we do.
It's true. It's true. And I just love the way that you and your office has been receptive to technology innovations and just really partnering and asking for help. I mean, hats off to the AED procurement, because I know that they're at least $1,200 a piece. Yeah. So that's no small effort to be able to have those life-saving devices in all the cars, or as many cars and locations as possible. So as we round out this interview, what are, besides, the AED, that was a perfect example of supporting your efforts, but what other ways can our business community support the efforts that your office is doing?
Okay, so I want to go back and talk about a study that was done some time ago in Tempe, Arizona, called Broken Windows. And I think this is critical to the idea of building a robust neighborhood that feels safe. So in Tempe, Arizona, I don't know whether it was a police chief or a police captain, was trying to convince the city council that they needed money to fix up some old dilapidated housing, that there was a lot of crime. There were a lot of people who were unhoused, hanging out in those old buildings. And what he did was I thought was remarkable. He took a vehicle and parked it outside of town, right on the outskirts of town, on the side of the road, and he left it there for a period of time. And nobody messed with that car. It stayed there intact for a period of time, and then they moved that car. They brought that very same car back to their station and left it there for an extended period of time. They carried it back to the same spot they left it before. They broke one window out of it. And within about 48 hours, everything of value was taken from that car. And the idea is, if people see an opportunity to take away, they will. However, when they see safety, they leave it alone. I want to give you a real world example in this area of how that worked for not for us, but for business. The Durham Athletic Park, where the Durham Bulls play. Before that stadium was really built and all the businesses and restaurants around it, that was a high crime area of Durham City. So much so that the investors in the Durham Athletic Park were questioning whether or not it was a good thing to do. But it was there. It was an opportunity. And they said, let's think outside the box. And I remember Captain Eddie Sarvis was I think the brain trust behind that whole story. He and a couple of other officers just went into the meeting and said, if you'll give us the power to be the police and take care of this area and support us, give us the equipment we need. He and Mitch Carter, another officer at that time, went in and completely changed the dynamic of that area. I can remember when I was much younger and my children were much younger, driving to the Durham Athletic Park, parking my car on the off ramp, leaving it, walking across to the park, paying a very small amount of money to see a really entertaining ball game. And I was able to let my kids run in that ballpark and go where they wanted to go within reason and do what they wanted to do within reason. And they were safe. And I knew it and I felt it. And everybody there felt safe. That place grew and it continues to grow to what it is today. And it's not the ballpark. It's not the pitcher's mound. It's not the home plate that makes that place special. It's all the businesses and restaurants around it that came. And that goes back to, if you build it, they will come. You got to take it one step further. If you build it and take care of it and care for it, they will come. Now, what Eddie and Mitch did was not arrest everybody. They just told them, listen, we got a game going on over here. You guys come over here and we'll take care of you. And they didn't take them and kick them out and run them away or beat them up or take them to jail. They made room for them. They took care of the folks that were unhoused too. But they did it in a way that let everybody know you're welcome here. You're going to be safe here. So I just say, from industry and from building and from people who want to come in and start business ventures, this is a great place to do it. Orange County is a vibrant community. It does feel good and it does feel safe. And it takes all of us to make that happen. And I'm very proud to be a small part of that picture.
Well, thank you so much for those remarks. I mean, you and your office, the deputies, all the people on your staff, you've just dedicated so much time, energy, and made so many sacrifices to Orange County. And we're so grateful for what you do every day. And thank you so much for being a part of this Behind the Building series. I encourage the viewers to reach out to me, as I want to be your resource for all things commercial real estate. I can help connect you with the Orange County Sheriff's Office so you can explore ways to partner for the greater good of a vibrant business community. Be sure to keep an eye out for future Behind the Building interviews with other community leaders and professionals just like Sheriff Blackwood.